When most people picture a game of darts, they think it's all about nailing the bullseye, that glorious red dot in the center of the board, the hero shot, the cinematic climax. You hit it, the pub erupts, and someone spills their pint. Except, that's not how it works. If you're watching professional darts and someone aims for the bullseye mid-match, odds are they're either showboating or slightly panicking. Because here's the big secret, the bullseye isn't even the highest scoring area on the board. That honor goes to the tiny, awkward, unforgiving sliver known as the treble 20. It's not sexy, but it's where the real points live. And if you've ever wondered why darts players suddenly ignore the middle of the board, start aiming for corners, or finish a match with a throw that seems completely random, this is your introduction to how real darts actually works. Let's start with the basics. A standard game of darts is called 501. Each player starts with 501 points, and the goal is to be the first to reduce your score to exactly 0. Sounds simple, but of course, this is darts, so there's a catch. You don't just chuck numbers off until you hit 0. You have to finish on a double. That's right. Even if you have just 1 point left, if you can't hit a double one, you don't win. This is what's known as a checkout. The final throw that ends the leg. That rule alone adds a layer of pressure that makes even the world's best players look foolish when it really counts.
Michael van Gerwen misses the double for a 9-darter.
Now, scoring. The dartboard has 20 numbered sections, running from 1 to 20. Each number has 2 thin rings, the outer ring, which doubles the number, and the inner ring, which triples it. That inner ring is where the magic happens. The treble 20, worth 60 points, is the highest scoring shot on the board. Miss by a millimeter, and you're hitting a 1 or a 5. Not ideal. The bullseye sits in the middle and is actually worth 50 points. The green ring around it, called the outer ball, is worth 25, which is fine, but unless you're on a very specific checkout route, you're not aiming there. In fact, many pros will actively avoid the bullseye because it's just not efficient. It's like choosing to drive through rush hour traffic just because the route looks nice. So why do we start with 501 and not something tidy like 500 dead? Well, 501 is an odd number, literally and figuratively. It forces players to mix up their maths right from the start, often beginning with a treble 20 heavy visit worth 180, the highest possible score with 3 darts. Most pro matches are played in sets and legs. A leg is one game of 501. A set is made up of multiple legs. The format changes depending on the tournament. Some go best of 5 sets, others best of 11 legs. But the idea is the same. Hit your doubles, finish efficiently, and don't crumble under pressure. That last part is key. The difference between winning and losing often comes down to who can land a double under 1,000 screaming fans, bright lights, and the knowledge that missing means going home early. Here's something most casual fans get wrong. The bullseye isn't your friend. In fact, it's often a red herring. New players naturally gravitate toward it. It's in the middle. It's the target, right? But the pros are living in the top left quadrant, dancing around that treble 20 zone with deadly accuracy. If you hit 3 bullseyes, you get 150 points. If you hit 3 treble 20s, you get 180. So yeah, you're 30 points worse off for doing the more impressive looking thing. Then there's the weird world of doubling out. The need to end a leg on a double means players spend as much time thinking about their next throw as they do about their current one. If you've got 64 left, you might go 20, then 2, then double 16, or treble 16, then double 8. There are dozens of routes depending on your preferences, habits, and how risky you're feeling. One missed dart, and suddenly you've got to rethink your entire checkout plan. Mid-match, mid-throw, mid-existential crisis. You might hear commentators talking about setup shots. That's when players deliberately don't try to finish, but instead position themselves for a high probability double on their next turn. You'll also hear phrases like on a finish, left on tops, and also bust, which is when someone overshoots their total and has to reset back to their previous score.
Not going to be, so Ryan Searle.
No score.
Error. That's careless.
Busting is soul destroying. It's like getting to the front of a queue, realizing you forgot your wallet, and being sent to the back again. Another big part of dart strategy is knowing your checkout maths. It's not just about scoring big, it's about scoring smart. For example, if you've got 170 left, the highest possible finish, you need to go treble 20, bullseye. It's beautiful when it lands, but drop 1 dart in the wrong segment, and suddenly your elegant checkout becomes a confusing scramble of low percentage throws. Pros spend years memorizing routes. There's a reason they call some players calculators with arms. Now let's talk about the other side of darts, the casual, sometimes chaotic world of mini-games. Because while 501 is the main event, the pub is where most people fall in love with darts. And there, you'll find games with names like Cricket, Around the Clock, Killer, Shanghai, Halve It, Chase the Dragon, and more. These games aren't just warm-ups, they're proper tactical face-offs in their own right, sometimes just as frustrating as a competitive leg. Cricket is a game where players aim to close out numbers from 15 to 20, plus the ball. You have to hit each number 3 times, and once it's closed, you can score on it until your opponent closes it too. It's strategic, sneaky, and way more personal. Around the Clock is simpler. You start at number 1 and have to hit each number in sequence up to 20, finishing on the bullseye. It's great for practice and for finding out which of your mates has inexplicably become elite at hitting the number 17. Then there's Killer, a game where each player is assigned a number, and once they've hit their double, they become a killer and can start knocking other players out by hitting their number. It's like darts crossed with a game of tag. Alliances are made, grudges are formed, and friendships are occasionally destroyed. Killer can last 5 minutes or 2 hours depending on how seriously people take their revenge arcs. Halve. It is a brutal little game where you choose a series of targets, like 20s, 16s, bullseyes, and each player takes turns trying to hit them. If you miss, your score is halved. It punishes risk, rewards consistency, and regularly leads to someone quitting halfway through to go get crisps. Shanghai is another pub favourite. You play over 7 rounds, focusing on one number per round. Round 1 is number 1, round 2 is number 2, and so on. Scoring is simple, but the magic is in hitting a single, a double, and a treble of the same number in one round. That's called a Shanghai, and it's an automatic win, rare but satisfying. Unless someone else does it first, then it's just infuriating. What all these games have in common is they make darts accessible, even if you're not ready to step into the competitive scene. They also remind us that darts is, at its heart, a social game. It's about rhythm, banter, and occasionally pretending you meant to hit 26. But here's the twist, that casual social energy, it's alive and well at the very top of the sport. Competitive darts, proper televised darts, has somehow managed to feel both serious and totally ridiculous at the same time. You've got players in polos throwing with sniper precision to a crowd of 10,000 people dressed as bananas, astronauts, and inflatable giraffes chanting songs at the top of their lungs. No sport captures the pub-to-professional pipeline quite like darts. Players walk out to theme tunes, high-five the crowd, and sometimes start legs with 180s like it's nothing.
John, as you alluded to, he's got 177, 140 with a bounce out.
But despite the pantomime and pints, the level of skill is outrageous. We're talking hand-eye coordination that rivals elite snooker players or long-distance snipers, nerves of steel, the mental arithmetic of a Vegas blackjack dealer, and accuracy that defies logic. Some players are all about the swagger. Peter Wright with his colourful mohawk and snake-themed outfits. Others are cold-blooded machines like Michael Van Gerwen, who throws with the intensity of someone trying to destroy the dartboard. And then there's the new generation, Luke Littler, the teenage prodigy who casually reached the World Championship final while still doing his GCSEs. It's not just a game for the older lads anymore. Darts has a youth movement, and they're frighteningly good. The rivalries are real too. Gerwyn Price, the former rugby player turned world champion, has turned the crowd into his personal villain origin story. He's booed at almost every event, and somehow thrives on it. Then there's the cool confidence of players like Dimitri Van den Berg, who will dance on stage like he's at a wedding disco, and still throw 3 treble 20s without blinking. The treble 20 is not big at all. To hit it 3 times in a row, under pressure, with the whole world watching, is like threading a needle in a hurricane, and the best players make it look easy. Their composure is next level, their precision robotic, but the moment they miss, everything unravels. The opponent steps in, the crowd turns. That's darts, brutal, unforgiving, and beautiful. So the next time someone picks up a dart and says, "Watch this, I'm going for the bull," you'll know the truth. The bullseye might be flashy, but darts is a game of strategy, precision, and patience. It's about knowing when to aim high, when to play it safe, and when to risk it all on a double 16. It's not about hitting the middle, it's about hitting the right shot, at the right time, under the worst possible pressure. That's what makes it beautiful, that's what makes it brutal, and that's why you can never quite look away. Because darts might not be about the bullseye, but when someone finally hits that winning double, you'll still spill your pint anyway. And if you've never watched Phil Taylor in his prime, the man who turned darts into a one-man demolition show, do yourself a favour and watch this next. It's not just darts history, it's darts destruction.